welcome to my home. Come on in. I would not be living in this home if it weren't for DoorDash. I started dashing in the evenings. I could make my own schedule as I needed. Every dollar we made went to the house savings. After several years, we had been able to save up enough to buy the house. So dashing made a difference.
Since his early childhood. His early life is a mystery, but we know that he eventually became the executioner of Gywn. This again would imply that he did not win the lottery of birth. If executioners in Gywn share anything like their history in our world, they were typically disliked. The role carried no respect with the public and was reserved for people on the fringes of society, outcasts. In Christian societies, it was doubtful that God would forgive what was effectively murder, and even a non-believer would have worries that the dark aspects of your job would rub off on your character. However, executioners were often very well paid precisely because of the undesirable consequences of their role. Since it was social suicide, it would better have a good salary. If Snow was discriminated against from birth, it would make perfect sense that he became an executioner, given the benefits of pay, and that he had little to lose. If in civilian life he was already disliked and discriminated against, perhaps he would value the status of executioner. Underneath the enormous armor, he is still huge, but not fat. He is ripped. However, once we get his armor, there is another coincidence. It is said it can be worn by a human, but not without great difficulty, again implying that Snow himself may not have been a human in the first place. Whether he went into his role by necessity or by choice, his character can only have darkened with time. The dark role of executioner has an effect. For Snow is ambitious, very ambitious, to rise further in rank. Snow dreamed of becoming one of the four knights, the mighty warriors of Gywn. Ornstein, Artorias, Kieran, and Goth were heroes, and Snow hoped to stand among them. It wasn't an impossible dream. After all, Snow is a formidable foe when we fight him alongside Ornstein. And even if he did have giant blood, the giant Hawkeye Goth counts among the four knights. At first, he does everything right to progress his ambitions. Snow certainly impresses in the role society gave him. All evidence suggests he was a successful executioner, and he seems to have been rewarded handsomely. When we meet him, he wears armor that, though grotesque, could only have been made by a master craftsman. His hammer, which we do not know if it was used in executions, is also a work of art. It is stamped all over with the same sigil that is stamped on the weapons and armor of the gods. The argument that the Channeler's armor and Snow's armor were designed by the same master smith certainly hits on something. They were both drawn as the first two members of the planned four knights. I remember the Channeler's design was put forward around the same time as Snow's, and we also took to referring to them as the four knights, Knights C and D if I remember correctly. In addition to that, even harboring hopes of becoming one of the four knights shows that his career as executioner has garnered him great respect, despite its unappealing reality. Another piece of evidence that he was remarkably successful in his job is that they can't bear to lose him, even after it is revealed just how twisted he is. But first, his rise, before his fall. As he progresses in his role of executioner, we know from his great hammer that he loved his work. This is already gruesome canon, but it doesn't stop there. It also explains that Snow ground the bones of his victims into his own feed, ruining his hopes of being ranked with the four knights. In the Japanese description, it states that he ate the flesh and blood of his victims, a phrase that implies his own family. Since we feel that it's unlikely he would be the executioner for his relatives, we think it instead refers to the heretical aspect of cannibalism in Dark Souls. We will explain the special place that eating one's own kind has in this universe later. Does Snow start this activity immediately once he was executioner? Did he start it before being executioner, and like many monsters, chose their role in society to have better access to their prey? Or did the possibility of the very part of society inspire him? We believe he didn't start this habit immediately, but it was something he turned to with time. We also don't believe that it was a one-off, but that it took quite some time for people to notice just what Snow was up to. Given the lifetimes of lords or lord-like creatures in Dark Souls, and that we know the Four Knights have not fought together for centuries, Snow has clearly had a remarkably long life. Just how many victims did he need to have a long career as executioner? As is often the case in areas of society we'd rather not look at, terrible things can go on for a long time before they reach the light. If he wasn't a monster when he chose to become an executioner, he has now become one, and with no limit on his supply, Snow has eaten well. Is he mad as well as evil? Certainly, there are some interesting connections between another character who is perceived as mad and our becoming executioner. Snow and Seek are the only two characters whose items Grant refuses to give more than a single soul for. An interesting connection we believe we may have an answer for. Once his monstrous habits come to light, the powers that be respond in a peculiar way. They allow Snow to continue his role. Snow has continued to serve until the present day. He is banned from ever becoming one of the Four Knights, but apart from that, he seems to have continued as normal. We know from Dark Souls 3 that he was the last knight to defend the city, and his continuation of his role was sanctioned. In the present day, a lift is even custom built for his size in the center of the capital. He is not stripped of his masterwork armor and weapon, which one would think he is no longer fit for. Indeed, there is even a small statue in the capital that seems to honor him as his father was Ornstein, one of the Four Knights. No, the only evidence of punishment is ruining his hopes of being ranked with the Four Knights. He is not locked up or sentenced to death, hardly a fitting punishment. It shows just how useful he is and how good he is at what he does, and perhaps just how undesirable the role is and how difficult it would be to replace him. It does make you wonder who the real monsters are in Mordrin today. Is the role of executioner so dark and so tempting that the powers that be would rather keep the monstrous smell than risk initiating another? Better the devil you know. It is all very peculiar. The manner in which society reacts to its crimes says something about the society as a whole, and Lordian society doesn't seem to think the consumption of its citizens is all that terrible. With time, the sun fades, and Snow sees the gods leave the city, which leads us to another mystery. Does Snow know the sun is an illusion, or is he seduced by the illusion of Guinevere? If his battle companion Ornstein did leave Mordrin, as sequels seem to imply, is our executioner aware of this? And does he know that his ultimate role in defending the city is to die in the progression of the chosen undead? We cannot know the answer, but for someone who has had a role of executioner and partaken in some of the darkest rituals in society, as well as the most twisted crimes, he is unlikely to be naive. So perhaps he simply wishes to stay where the action is. Which brings us to the modern day. It seems that the Snow we meet is real, since we know from Dark Souls 3 that he was the last knight to defend the city. We meet him at a crucial point in our quest. As we have mentioned, he and Ornstein are one of the most challenging bosses in the game. His beautifully crafted armor and hammer are not just for show. His defenses are enormous, and his hammer incredibly powerful. Not only can he one-shot you if you're not careful, but his weak points aren't where you'd think. His eyes are not where they seem. They are not in the chubby-cheeked face that seems too high above his shoulders, nor are they behind the two eye-like parts of the bulbous neck. Snow actually looks out from behind two slits, protected by this double illusion. In the boss fight, he is likely to kill us over and over. He shows his strength, and he shows his ruthlessness. But he shows much more. He shows his attitude to his peers and to the society around him. Just as he loves the violence in his work, he seems to take great pleasure in the fight. The Soul of Snow describes him as the eerily gleeful executioner, and he is gleeful. He laughs during our fight. His voice echoes in the hollow chambers of time as he chases us around. 'Tis 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 ' He takes no care over the room, destroying pillars of the beautiful capital in which it hangs. And when his friend falls by our hand, he crushes his companion without delay, absorbing his power. And as he does so, he laughs. Should we kill them the other way around, Ornstein simply lays a hand on his fallen companion. But Snow doesn't even notice the twitching fingers of Ornstein, who may yet be dead. He is a gruesome man. After we kill him, we can get his armor and his hands. Miyazaki forced the developers to make sure that it was equipable as a human. This again adds mystery of whether Snow was a human in the first place. Despite his enormous size, could he have been human? If he was human, it may give some insight as to why.
May I ask, which one of you adventurers is paying the bill? I have a 3-star llama with 300,000 combat power. You're so weak, you should get the bill. I have a 4-star pirate dragon with 400,000 combat power.
Well, I have a 5-star moblin with... What? A legendary 6-star heavy dragon? How did you get it? During my sleep. In Ulala Idle Adventure, you can play anytime you want. Level up even when you're eating or sleeping. There are also Team PvP, cooking and hunting modes. Come check out Ulala Idle Adventure and challenge the strongest of hunters. Click the link below to download Ulala.
File your taxes 100% free in the app if you didn't file with us last year. Just file with TurboTax Do It Yourself by February 28th. No matter your tax situation, make the switch to TurboTax Do It Yourself and file free by February 28th.
His diet ruined his ambitions, and why Franz refuses to trade anything but one soul for his items. How is cannibalism different in Dark Souls than in our world? Snow is not the only instance where we find it. On the stage of Pyromancer Laurentius, he is in a barrel. He is trapped by some large women, each nicknamed a butcher. One stands in the half-light, chopping large, unidentified pieces of meat, while the other secretly guards the room Laurentius is trapped in. The intent to use Laurentius despite the fact that it seems they are human. Their weapon describes it all in graphic detail. Giant butcher knife wielded by the undead, man-eating cook lurking in the depths. More a tool for subduing and preparing live catches than an actual weapon. Those who have faced this deadly blade have a deeper sense of how helpless prey must feel. Later, we encounter man-eater Mildred. She also is presumably a cannibal. Further on, we meet demons who were once human and now eat humans. Humans that are ferried as part of an agreement between Islip and Naralondo. If you want to know more about this lore, check out our Demon's Lore video here. And the city of New Londo is underwater, sunk for the sin of humanity consumption. This is how we can understand Snow's heresy. Some consumption of humanity is not done on the body of bone, but with the crystal sprite. In the world of Dark Souls, there is power from sacrifice and power from death, and consumption of that death. Look how strong the Butch ladies are, and this body strength is very similar to the sketches of the body of Snow. Perhaps Snow has become so huge due to his unique diet. His secret is everywhere. Our whole quest is about amassing and concentrating the power of slain lords in ourselves. The bonfires literally burn and break down with flame what Snow goes down to eat in his feed: bones. The demons granted their fair share of humans from Wardrum after their war. As part of our bell-ringing escapade, they get a share. And eventually, the chosen undead burn their souls, their bones and flesh, in sacrifice to relink the flame. Being a cannibal has a very different meaning in the world of Dark Souls. If Snow ate his flesh and blood, i.e. his own, it may be referring to the allegorical meaning of Dark Souls. While all of society feeds off the sacrifice of its members, all of us must burn some of ourselves for the sun of society to shine brightly. But those with the power to do it more directly should not take advantage of their station. Snow cannot become one of the 4 nights because he has broken the rules that those in power should follow. Frank represents the natural cycles of the world. He rejects snow the same way he rejects sea, because both of them have tried to manipulate and take advantage of the fundamental rules of the world. Seek is attempting to live forever and warp life into what he chooses, and Snow is seeking to use his birds and flash to kindle his own strength, as opposed to simply carrying out his societal role. This is proven in Dark Souls 3. The description for Snow's hammer says, twisted great hammer associated with Snow. The last night Snow was exposed, guarding the ruined cathedral. Restore HP while attacking, a carryover from Snow's past as an executioner. The sense of life and death, whether it's in the formation of a sun or in literal physical strength, is a real thing in Dark Souls. This is why Snow's actions are heretical, because he should not take advantage of this process and his role to use it for his own corrupt gains. The imagery of his armor is perhaps a symbol of this process. While the symbol that is stamped all over it may be inspired by the imperial seal of Japan, a chrysanthemum flower, we wonder if the flower on so many of the Lord's weapons and armor is in fact a lotus. Just like the great sun rises out of the dark sacrifice in the light of knowledge, the lotus flower is beautiful despite growing in mud and murky waters. The role of executioner is dark, so are many of the essential roles that turn the wheels of mankind. Snow, after all, has not only flowers, but cogs and his equipment. Instead of serving society so that it flourishes forward, he is trying himself to grow. His appearance and armor is not only an illusion in terms of where his eyes are, but also because their darkness is not insanity, hides the blossom and flower. Amongst the spikes and horrific birds, a great kettle is ready to bloom. In this sense, the illusion may be like dragon stays of mold. Snow does not care if Guinevere, Londo, and the sun are illusions. To him, everything may have always been an illusion. He has seen the darkness as one of the essential cogs that turns society. He may be immune to the fate of the sun, because wasn't it always an illusion? Wasn't the beauty of Gwyn's society always hiding a dark secret? With every bonfire in the land consuming the bones of society's members, of course they cannot get rid of him as executioner. It would make them hypocrites. The lords consume their followers just as Snow did. He just did it more directly. And while they deny it, they are killing and consuming their followers to maintain the role they have. Snow is in no denial. He knows the truth, and he loves it. Welcome to the inner workings of the Way of White. Its confused teachings and faith, its hypocritical leaders, and its disturbing relationship to the undead curse. As always, the research has been broad and in-depth, so let's dive in. Ferrier or Knox. Let us first look at the religion's name. The Way of White. The Way of White has long been interpreted as worshipping Gywn. The name Gywn is a Welsh name that means white. It therefore would make sense that the Way of White is worshipping Gywn, with the name Way of White implying that it carries out the will of Gywn. Or perhaps the faith is the way to Gywn.
Yo!
If one were to worship God,
I've got the lore going. Nah, I beat a bit of chaos instead. I'm switching between these people and the Four Kings, taking turns against the bosses. And I got the lore going. I don't know if you can hear it clearly. But it's talking about the way of the White Church right now.
Havell must at least be a bishop, and was likely the head bishop of the Way of White.
Bullshit.
The Way of Light. The descriptions of Havel as a bit
Yeah.
Guys,
I killed, Thank you. I killed, Bit of Chaos, bro. That probably got the most kills out of all bosses.
you're in the scene. You're RPG fun. No shortcuts.
Hate when the ads play during my boss fight.
Instead, it is everything.
Yeah, I almost killed 4 kings. I literally, like, bro, there was 3 of those purple slashes on the screen. How do I deal with that? Yo, you see the Moonlight Greatsword? It looks peak. But yeah, I completely forgot about the Beta K.
do not of this Way of Light connection. If Havel was the head bishop of the Way of Light, it would mean that the faith of the Way of Light and Gwyn do have a direct connection due to Havel's connection to Gwyn.
Oh, Havel apparently worked with Gywn back in the day.
Additionally looks over a cathedral, and there is a cathedral in Anolondo too. So Havel could perhaps be the bishop of Anolondo, perhaps the only one that allowed him to achieve such a high post.
Shit.
Another link with the Way of Light and the gods of water.
Yeah, my katana, I got to level 8. I can't find any tiny 9 chunks though.
Forged by the nameless blacksmith deity, as it is a legendary weapon, which must be forged by the blacksmith deity until he passed.
The Night of the Katarina lore, bro. That shit was crazy. Raw. I need Tyrannite chunk.
As the ultimate.
Game is not doing shit for me right now for leveling up my weapon.
Upon closer examination, it appears this is the only evidence for it. And while it may have once been true, the connection is likely a vestige of the past.
There's something there I didn't pick up.
The chosen undead sets on the scene.
Oh, whoa.
We believe the Way
There's
of
an
Light
Anderlondo
has
Knight here?
anything to do with Gwyn.
You notice how this one's black and not all shiny? It's because it got burned.
And items of the Way of Light. There is not a single occasion that we hear Gwyn being mentioned. Gods and lords are mentioned, but no Gwyn.
What's red Tyrannite chunk, man? I've been getting a ton of them.
There is a lot of debate as to what this translates to.
Killer
Lots
doll.
of phrases made like this with Latin tend to not have fully correct grammar.
Huh.
However,
The Anderlondo Knight wasn't there before. I wonder why.
correctly put, as the team intended, we can try to translate it. Varior is the first person of the present tense. It is a deponent verb, which means I fear or I am afraid. Despite being a deponent verb, it is transitive, which means it can take an object. However, there is no word
Damn it.
to the case, nor is there anything in the context
Damn it.
implying the object to be afraid of. Nox, which means narrate, can only be in 2 cases, nominative and vocative. But, since Varior is in the first person, not third, this cannot be the subject that is being fearing. This means, I am afraid, night. The night is the entity to which the phrase of I am afraid is spoken to.
What is bro talking about right now?
However, there is still no reference to the light of the Lord of Sunlight. If we contrast this with Solaire's repeated claims saying that he serves the Lord of Sunlight.
Alright.
References to the will of Lord Gwyn. It does seem odd that amongst all the Way of Light items and dialogues, Gwyn never comes up. Superman is not a member of the Way of Light. He gives us the miracle amidst force, which is stated to be foreign to the way of white. He is more likely a follower of the warriors of sunlight, or connected to the firstborn sun in some degree, for reasons we will get into another time. And yes, one can follow Gywn and his son, as Gywn didn't exile his son. The son was exiled after Gywn's death, and therefore it was not the will of Gywn. Soler is certainly not a member of the Way of White, instead calling himself a warrior of the sun and an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Once again, this drives a wedge between the Way of White and Gywn. He also possesses lightning spears, showing adherence to the firstborn son, and therefore worships both the father and son, once again proving that you can worship both, and Gywn did not exile his son. So Gywn seems entirely absent from the Way of White in the present day. The only Lord explicitly mentioned is All-Father Lord, who is likely the supreme leader of the faith. We are told that even the head bishop of the Way of White is an apostle to Lord,
Around here.
so we can presume, if it is akin to the formation of other church hierarchies, that Lloyd is the supreme authority. The gold coin, that which has the most value in the outside world of humans, has All-Father Lloyd with his halo on it. Lloyd also has Cleric Knights under his command, implying even martial power. Lloyd, however, as we mentioned in the timeline video, is likely not very connected to the world of the gods. For several reasons, which you can find here, we believe that he may have created the first humans. At the very least, he is very connected with the human world. Coins, religion, and in the rounding up of undead, he pops up everywhere. Imagine a real-life figure whose face according to Lloyd was the head of the largest church and had an army. That is some serious power, so Lloyd had a strong foothold in the land of the humans. Lloyd's name is Welsh and means brave. Something which is part Lord, being connected to the last soul of the first man and uncle to Gywn, i.e. part Lord. Yet, with a foot in the camp of humans, human battle would of course be represented by the colour Gywn. So, the uncle of Lord Gywn is ever present in the human world. But once again, it's Gywn and the other lords when it comes to the Way of White. Old Man McClellan and Knight King Rendell feature on the other two coins. A fairly odd choice, given that many lords of great relevance are still alive and well, even as late as when the chosen undead reigned. Finally, everyone of relevance that we either meet or who is described in such items as the White Saint's Ring, talismans, and so on, are from Gywn. If it was to do with worship of Gywn, one would expect a more tangible connection to Lordran, and certainly
I was shocked when I first tried it. I didn't know there was an outlet about it. So all the people you see,
make some form of pilgrimage other than seeking kindling. In every religion there is a pilgrimage to the most relevant places on earth that were connected to the deity. Yet, no member of the church attempts to reach Anor, nor even mentions Anor at all. In addition, not a single person connected with the Way of White or Throwerland is following the undead legend. This implies once again a split, and interestingly, a split between the desires of Lloyd and Gywn. Further proving the likely deviation of Lloyd from the other lords into a position of power over humans. The Waiting Priest's hat is worn only by Way of White priests in Thailand, and it is not simply to show their position within the hierarchy. It holds almost no meaning in the land of Lordran.
Apparently I learned the lore more to these. Apparently
Between the Way of White and the land of Lords, a strange
Easy.
Upstanding, unwavering faith.
Farbed.
He still believes in the true greatest good and is a warrior.
Alright, there we go.
This implies that the Way of White may not only have wavered away from Gwyn, but is actually no longer upstanding, and is corrupted in some sense. So the gods that are worshipped by the Way of White are not heavily related to those of Lordran. So what is the faith about? Well,
Right, I was able to kill one boss. I only
but more importantly, in the hierarchy,
I only got my weapon to +8 as well. I don't know where to find all the rest of the materials.
first, let us look at who are likely the lowest followers in the Way of White that we have.
Well, I got some levels here, at least 2.
Too long to have any naivety, regardless of rank, and the other is high up in the foremost houses of Thurland, shown by the fact that she is called Maiden Thurland by Petrus and Your Highness. While she may be known, she is not a good example of a typical follower of the faith.
The Way of the White was boring as fuck. I don't care. I really don't care about the Way of White. I'm skipping that one. Seath. I'll go to Seath.
Seath is born an age ago, just after the birth of time. And light.
Alright. Oh, I should probably save that replay.
The primordial crystal also comes to exist at this time, formed in this new.
Alright.
Seath is born to the race of mineral beings,
Wake up.
the ancient dragons. But he is born
Wake up, bro.
one, not so flawed as a serpent.
Who do you think is correct, bro?
Those imperfect dragons.
Do you think this one's correct or the other one's correct?
Snakes beneath him. He is unsighted, and most importantly, scaleless.
Yo, what the fuck is this?
Pale and white, with a lack of sight, it is a similar affliction to human albinism. His absence of scales makes him different to his brethren in a consequential way. He is mortal. His kin will live forever if their natural lives are not disturbed by violence. Seath is certain to die if he does not save his life with cunning. Victim of the emotions which also came with the coming of the first flame, Seath gives in to his anger, his envy, his hurt, but more than anything, his fear. The malformed body which denied him his dragon birthright, his healthy, mighty peers around him, the emotions these things stir up are nothing compared to the fear which death inspires. This fear of death, more than anything else, leads to his decision to save himself at the cost of his own kind. What Seath seeks to benefit from the destruction of dragons for numerous reasons. One is that he wishes to pillage the treasure of the primordial crystal from the dragons, insulating himself from death indefinitely. But much more important than that, he hopes to strip the dragons' corpses of their scales. He plans to pillage the dead bodies of his family after the war he will bring on them. Seath is convinced that the scales can somehow be reused, be reattached, grafted to his own body. This would free him from his mortal life, more so than a fragile crystal ever could. Between Seath's birth and the readiness of Seath's plan, the culture and power of the Lords has developed. As Seath is unable to kill dragons himself without his own kind slaying him, he betrays his kind to Gwyn, Nito, and the Witch of Izalith. This betrayal is likely the provision of key information. Seath reveals the secrets of the dragon scale's weakness, and it gives the upper hand to the Lords. With this information, the war is a mighty struggle.
So stupid.
There are many casualties for the Lords and their armies. But finally, the dragons are defeated. The end of the war brings a terrible realization for Seath. Seath is devastated to discover that the dragon scales are useless for his purposes. This fact was unknown to anyone before this time due to their immortal lives. But Seed discovers that dragon scales are intimately connected to its dragon. As the dragon scale item description says, a dragon is inseparable from its scales. The dragon covenant
Yep. Yep.
crossed the very end of the earth.
I'm about to. I got the shield ready.
Valuable treasure.
I know his shit.
Maybe more reliable ways to
I've almost no-hit him before, so...
slaughter is an incredibly ineffective method. You're lucky to get one after a dragon's death, and even then it may be inert in terms of immortality potential. These inseparable skills he hoped were the building blocks of his immortality are worth nothing more than sand. They crumble in his hands, becoming mineral powder. He screams to think of his immortal life, a sole dragon alone on the earth, with only a brittle crystal to protect him from mortality, from death. Seed is rewarded by Gywn as his betrayal led to the victory over the dragons. Seed is gifted
Damn.
and granted access to the regal archives. Knowledge acquired by the lords during the long years of culture before they challenged the dragons. Seed takes his cue of the archives and
Alright. First off, if I'm battling this dude, I don't want to talk about it, alright? I do not want to talk about it. But got lucky. Alright, got the music at 10 for this shit. Oh yeah, this place is apparently made for giants. That's one thing I learned while listening to the lore video. Yo, I learned about the tear-off dude. Apparently, he's just chosen undead, trying to make the same journey we are. And he got to Sif's castle, but then he got fucked up after that. So that's as far as his story went in this game. Running. Running. Still running. Safe. Alright, attempt numero dos. Oh no. Alright. Let's get running. Get running. See who's gonna try attacking me. Get the fuck out of there. Gonna run this way. Bait him. Nope. Dumbass. Alright, walk through this. Better. I might be on this boss for a minute. Hey man, I don't want to talk about it, alright? Gywn's a problem. Gywn is a problem. You remember when I was like, I think Gywn's the most difficult boss? Gywn's difficult, bro. Am I the right level to battle this dude? 78. You know what's crazy is we were, I think we were like level like 65 or some shit for the playthrough we did. Man, with the Black Knight Halberd, bro, yeah. Hey, bro, I've beat him without needing to heal once, bro. All right, I got hit one time. I never parried him before. I'm learning something new right now. All right, this is a new experience for me. Usually I roll. Hey, I beat him with the Drake sword, +2. All right. I'm kidding. It's fucked up though. Yeah, I don't know his parry timing though, bro. I've never parried him. Fuck. This is stupid.
And for protection, creates the crystal garden around it. He places invisible pathways amongst the maze, and in time adds creatures of his own invention.
Bro, that was stupid, bro. That was stupid. Gwen's area is farming me, not even Gwen himself. Gwen doesn't need to do shit.
To life and do his bidding. He begins a fruitful period of learning and invention, viewed by all to be his same period. He learns much that the dragons did not, taking the Lord's knowledge from the archive and adding it to the knowledge that he learned from the dragons. Seath also experiments and philosophizes. He doesn't simply learn from others, he discovers. Seath takes pains to pair himself with the power of crystals. He truly welds himself to crystals and magically to the primordial crystal itself. Before, he was scaleless and pale, but he becomes crystalline and colourful through his work. This work gives him the power of a true undead.
You must know that Seath is a true undead, different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death.
Now that he has crystallized himself, or large portions of himself, he is untouchable. He goes on to have a remarkable string of productivity and creativity. He creates the crystal ember, an invention of his own which he learned.
There we go. Alright, third attempt. Now what do I choose to do? Rightfully so, I think easy, yep. That was definitely a different experience with the parries, I'm not gonna lie. That was definitely easier. The build. Now I think the correct thing to do lore-wise is to walk out. Like, from the lore, I think that is the correct option. That's what you should probably do. Thank you. First real playthrough of Dark Souls 1. Complete. Still got that DLC though. I feel like I definitely need to fight the Artorias fight, because he's in Night Rain as well, so that should help. See that stick drift? That's terrible. But yeah, correct thing to do is walk out, but since I'll probably play the other Souls games, and in continuation, like clearly the fire gets linked here. Like clearly, like story-wise, that's what happens. Lore-wise, you should walk out the door and let the cycle restart. But Chosen Undead decides to rekindle the flame in this one. Dark Souls 3 is when I'll put out the fire. Alright, saving that replay as well. Wait! No! 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 No, bro! No! Fuck!
The undead are corralled and led to the north.
I am seething! I wanted to do the DLC. I forgot it throws you into a new game instantly. I was like, oh, the Artorias fight will be lit in the DLC after I do this. I'll probably just go do the DLC after this. Fuck it. But no, this game's fucking stupid and does this. Yeah, you see why I'm seething right now, bro? God. That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. Don't my face is has a shield. Yeah, no, dude, it's alright. I should have known. Ah, damn. Yeah, that was still lit. That was still a fire playthrough for sure. Yeah, that was a peak playthrough, I'm not even gonna lie. That was peak. That was Gywn. I'm not gonna lie, bro, the Bed of Chaos had me raging. Bed of Chaos actually had me raging. Like, I died quite a few times against the Bed of Chaos. Yeah, damn. Well, fuck it, bro. If I level this up to Chaos Blade, it'll just become a completely, like, different game. I'll replay this game. For sure. But just do, like, a quick playthrough, bro. Just get it done with. Get me to the fucking DLC, bro. That's all I really want to fucking... I'm seething right now. But hey, you know what? That's good. That's good. I can always come back to this game later. And decide to play through it again. I'll be like, oh, yeah. That's disappointing. That's fucking disappointing. Fire playthrough though, yeah. Bed of Chaos, 4 Kings, I cooked. Bed of Chaos, bro. That shit was difficult. I'm not even gonna lie. Bed of Chaos had me like fucked up. Yeah, dude. These the peak game, bro. Peak playthrough. It was dope getting the Uchi Katana. Peak weapon right here. I still have all the souls as well, so at some point I probably could make Chaos play. Wait. I don't get the souls? I don't get the souls? God. That's brutal. That is brutal. Can I just walk through this door this time? Oh, yeah, and then the boss is here, isn't it? God damn it. Well, yeah, shit, I'll probably play Dark Souls 3 next. Just, like, do the story again. Don't really need to do Dark Souls 3. Probably finish up Bloodborne, honest to God. Beat those last couple of bosses. Probably go jump over to night right now. Shit. But yeah, peak playthrough. Cleared those 2 bosses in just about under an hour. So yeah, that was peak. Now I can make a proper Dark Souls 1 edit. I have the video of Artorias and Manus at least. So I can make a good Dark Souls edit out of that. So yeah, that's one reason why I wanted to replay through this. Because I wanted like some good edit. I wanted to be able to make a good edit of the playthrough as well. And edits of the fight. I made Ornstein and Smoke edit I'm going to post. I posted a short of the time I battled Gywn without like parrying. Yeah, so I'm definitely making some shorts out of this. And the Bloodborne shorts as well. So yeah, peak playthrough. Thank you for watching. And peace.